Hi there, I'm here for another episode of Quattro Minuti con Casanova, and I am at a very important Casanova site. I've been putting off filming this one because it's a little strange to talk about in public, but right now the street is very quiet. This is the Calle delle Carrozze in just near Campo San Samuele, where Casanova was baptized at the church, and he grew up just around the corner. So this is his childhood neighborhood. And this street, somewhere on the street, we don't know which house, but somewhere on the street is the house where Casanova lost his virginity. And you know, I often like to point out that Casanova was much more than a lover. He was a writer, he was a mathematician, he was a diplomat, he was a spy, he did all these many things. But he was also a lover. And so this is a very important site because along this street is kind of where much of his love life started. In fact, it started not with one woman, but he lost his virginity to two sisters one night. Here's the story in brief. He was in love with this girl named Angela Tosello, and she was the niece of the priest that Casanova was studying with. He was just a teenager, I think it was 15 at the time. And he was so infatuated with Angela and would try to hang out around her, kind of mooning around her all the time. But she was quite a good girl, and though I think she liked his attention, she concentrated on her embroidery and she resisted his advances. Well, she would sometimes sit and do her embroidery with these two sisters, Nanetta and Marta Savognan, whose parents had died and they were living with their aunt. So the three girls would sit and Casanova would be there. Well, he was so lovelorn and sick with his love for Angela, but he didn't know how to succeed with her. So he finally gave a note to the sisters and asked, "Can you help me?" And they said, "Sure, this sounds like fun." So some notes went back and forth, a plan was hatched, and the idea was that the girls would help to sneak Casanova into the house, and he would then find a way to pretend to leave after dinner, but instead come back into the house and stay the night. Well, all of that actually worked splendidly, and he hid in the dark until everybody went to bed. And when the three girls came to the room where Casanova was, Angela actually just sort of lost her nerve. She wouldn't let Casanova touch her practically the whole night. And so the whole plan failed. They thought they would try a second time. Same plan, Casanova would come to a meal, pretend to leave, but stay and be snuck into the room at night. This time though, Angela didn't show up. So the other two girls, the sisters, were there. And there was this moment that Casanova describes wonderfully in his memoirs where he and the two sisters kind of looked at each other and realized, oh hey, you're kind of hot. And hey, those feelings you talked about for Angela, well hey, maybe that's between us. So they ended up going to bed together, just saying it's bedtime, blow out the candle, climb into bed. Well, Casanova pretended he was asleep. The girls pretended they were asleep. He ends up touching and feeling. He's not even sure who it is. And while she pretends to be sleeping so that she can sort of pretend to be a good girl, Casanova loses his virginity to her. And then she kind of rolled over, and then he does the same with the sister. At first he didn't even know which was which, so they then put the candle back on, kind of look at each other in astonishment and go, hey, that was kind of fun. And they wash and they have a snack, a little midnight snack, and they just do it again. So this ended up initiating a number of years that they had this relationship. The girls never got pregnant, miraculously, I think. They were always very cordial and amicable with each other and remained friends until Casanova later left Venice. So it's actually quite a happy episode overall. Probably the only unhappy thing about it is that later Marta decided that all of this was really a big mistake, and she became a nun, and Casanova believed possibly she was doing penance for the time that she had spent with him. So unfortunately, she changed her mind about her feelings later and felt bad about what she had done. But at the time, at least, according to Casanova, they enjoyed this relationship time after time after time. And that was somewhere here on this street, Calle de la Carrozze, which is the street of the carriages.